And welcome everybody to another Thursday afternoon lunchbox here in Fitchburg at the K Zone at WPKZ 105.3 FM, or what's the other one, Catalini? 1280 AM.
1280 AM.
1280
the old
AM.
call numbers for WEIM.
Yep.
Now it's WPKZ.
Yep.
We were just reminiscing. It's 10 days before Christmas, and you were reminiscing about...
Pearson's up in... Where were you born in, Gardner?
Yeah, Gardner. But
Yeah.
you were reminiscing about how you would actually go shopping.
I would.
And
My mother.
now your wife buys 80% of the gifts online.
90.
And you used to actually physically go shopping to
loved it.
various town main streets.
Oh, yeah. Gardner, go to Pearson's. My parents loved it. Go up there and you drive down Route 12, get into Fitchburg, the Army Navy store, DeVarney Jewelers,
Yeah,
a lot of those
imagine that.
stores. Then you'd go to Leominster.
Yeah.
You know, you'd stop and then we'd go back to Clinton and
And Searstown was up and running at that time.
yeah, it was. It was up and running. But, you know, those malls weren't popular a lot with that generation. It's as they became older, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and it seems like downtowns are coming back a little bit, though. In some
Possibly,
communities. Clinton's done a nice job.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Sunrise Boutique. It's been there 50 years.
Hudson is pretty
Corner
vibrant.
Sport, Hudson.
Leominster's vibrant.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, how about the breakfast today at Family Cafe? Excellent job.
Right down the street from
Right down the
PKZ
street from here,
Yeah, you like
WP.
that Family Cafe. Kevin from Heaven.
Kevin from Heaven
Hey,
recommended it.
you reduced your breakfast bill today significantly by going to Family Cafe.
Listen, Catalini, listen. It was good. It was good. Kevin from Heaven was,
He was on his
beaming.
game today.
Beaming.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
beating
on-
you up a little bit.
yeah, he was. He was all over me a little bit. But I think with the weather, it's cold. He doesn't like to fly fish when it's cold
Whatever.
out.
He's got
so
some issues.
he's probably
Too
home
numerous
right
to
now.
mention.
Reading the Sentinel for the third time today, but who knows? But anyways, good
Hey,
breakfast day, good way to start the day.
A quick congrats to Gary Maniak, his first
Hey.
win at Neshoba Varsity Boys. It was a pleasure to meet some of all those kids a couple weeks ago. Great group over there at Neshoba. Great win at Clinton, and I know you as the JV coach at Neshoba. It was kind of challenging for you to go back to Clinton, where you spent your career, but it was a great night,
good
right?
Night. Yeah, good night, good crowd, a lot of people there, a lot of players that I hadn't seen in a while. And 6 of them had their kids playing
Imagine
at
that.
one level or another. Yeah, it was pretty good. But no, good game. Clinton's going to be good. Coach Manguso has a good team there. They were up 8 on our varsity at the half, 5 going into the fourth quarter. And then Jack Lagarde took over for us, and everybody else played well. Nico,
Yeah, that
Pavia
opening
played
game of the
well.
season, there's nothing like it.
No.
I went to a game near the Cape, born at Old Rochester, nice event. I mean, it kicks the season off, and
Yeah.
you know, if the game's a little rough, then that's really just a starting point for
Yeah.
you. You know, the goal is to get better over the course of the season.
No, it was good. It was a good night. You know, like you said, Gary got his first win. The kids in the locker room dumped a little water on him as
Oh,
a
really? Oh, that's
ceremonial
nice.
thing. And he
Now,
was
did somebody get that little video and post that? I mean, that's always nice to see.
what?
No, seriously, when the coach walks in the locker room and they get him with the water, it's nice to see that. It really is.
Yeah, but no one videoed it. We didn't have our phones.
You guys,
Yeah,
you know.
we didn't have our phone. Why would I have my phone?
I mean, usually when they do that, there's usually some media guy, like
a manager, a
politician.
media person.
Yeah, more media, not.
How about a manager? How about Tanya? She couldn't catch that. I mean, come on, first win.
Oh, Diesel, I'll tell you.
I mean,
One of those-
Diesel.
tough.
Diesel. Am I right or wrong?
It's one of those really nice moments, but yeah, as you see, nobody thought of it.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Diesel.
nobody thought of it.
Th-
So you're not thinking. Game one, not NT, not thinking.
Finesse.
So, all right.
Send them a text,
so
Vanessa.
if
Hey.
Neshoba wins a game in the state tournament, will somebody please get a little thing in the locker room? I mean, those are the fun. Those really are the fun moments.
They are.
Yeah, the one that comes to my mind is David Ayers, the guy from Toronto who was a arena attendant who became an emergency reserve keeper for the Hurricanes after they lost both their goalies in a game.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and he helped lead them to a victory, and then they gave him that treatment when he walked into the locker room.
Yeah.
I mean, the locker room's a sacred place, so here and there you do see some locker room speeches or some locker room celebrations. I think people really like that. And speaking of the locker room being a sacred place, we lost a great coach in Mike Leach.
Oh, man, how
I've
sad
seen
is
several
that?
videos of him speaking just in the last couple of days. Him speaking, whether it's in the locker room or at a press conference. I've watched stories of him in the past, and quite a character,
He
quite
was.
a coach, tremendous.
And he was at practice Saturday. Imagine that. He was at practice Saturday.
Okay.
And then he got rushed to the hospital either Saturday night or
A
Sunday.
massive
Yeah.
heart attack.
It's too bad.
Um,
no, he like
I saw some stuff on
what
Twitter
a
about.
motivator.
I saw
And he
some stuff
told
on
things
Twitter.
the way it was
Yeah.
supposed to be told. There was no gray with Mike Leach. It was black or white, and that cost him a job here and there.
Yeah.
But let me tell you,
He
you know,
was
he was a stand-up
terrific.
guy.
Yeah.
Real stand-up guy.
I saw some vignettes and some just anecdotal stuff from regular people who contacted him, and he would respond to them.
Oh, yeah,
There
personal
was,
letters.
There was like a guy, a coach. Mike Leach called. He said, "Oh, I'd love to talk to Mike Leach about the offense." Mike Leach calls him and spends 2 hours with him.
Yeah.
Like some
High
coach
school
in
coach.
Florida,
Yeah.
whatever. You know, I mean, that's just so down to earth, so wonderful to hear that.
And they have to still get ready for a bowl game on January 2nd, Mississippi
right?
State. I think they're playing Iowa State or Iowa. I'm
I've
not
got to
really.
double check for that, but
Yeah, you can double check that.
A couple of the anecdotes that I thought were pretty funny, like at press conference, like who would win in a hypothetical mascot fight, or my favorite one was him acknowledging that he picked one of his team captains, the one who was going to call the coin toss because he was on The Price is Right, and
Yeah, I
did
saw
pretty
that.
well on it.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, he had like a 75% accuracy percentage when it came to calling coin tosses.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, just
he picked quite well.
Yeah.
outside the box, wonderful, fun.
Yeah,
And you know, cut from a different cloth.
Yep, going to be missed. College football, losing another
sure,
great
for
guy.
sure.
You know, Dan McInespy, coach at Hudson, steps down this week. Johnny Andrioli, longtime football coach at St. John's, steps down this week. By the way, John's going to be on Howie's show, the Scholastic Sports Zone, which will be, by the way, the last live show of the year on Sundays because
Okay.
Christmas and New Year's Day are falling on Sundays. So
Diesel-
listen in.
Diesel, you'll be in studio for that.
Yes, I will. And by the way, it's the ReliaQuest Bowl against Illinois.
I know it was an I. All right.
Okay.
Illinois. That was close.
There's
That
a
was
bowl game at
close.
Fenway this week, right, Diesel?
Yeah, the Fenway Bowl is this week.
Who's playing in that?
Let's see. I think it's Louisville's one of them.
Louisville.
I want to say, and the other one is hard to remember off the top of my head.
All right, but
And
anyways,
the head coach at Louisville is Dion. Is it Dion Branch?
Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah.
He got elevated because people left and some players aren't playing and whatever. That's all that stuff that happens at the
Deion
end of the
Branch,
season.
good player and good NFL career.
That game's going to be on the 17th. It's Cincinnati is the other one.
Oh.
Yeah, and so, yeah, Cincinnati also has an interim coach in that one. Yeah, both their coaches.
Yeah.
Boy, a lot to talk about. A lot to talk
A lot
about.
to
here.
talk about, but
And you've
getting
got-
back to the Scholastic Sports Zone, last one of the year live. Great guest, Howie's got on him and Tommy. They've got Johnny Andrioli, great coach, great player at St. John's, great player at Holy Cross, great coach, great coaching career, invested all his time in there, and you know he just felt it was time to walk away. Same with Coach McInespy, 25 years. Remember coaching?
We had him on this fall.
We had him on this file. I remember when I started coaching at Clinton, it was Vic Rimkus and then Herb Bush, and then this young kid comes in from Lowell, Dan McInespy, and wore a tie, white shirt, always wore a tie. And I remember him and Archie hitting it off real well. He was a young kid. Archie was near the end of his career. And Dan put out some good teams. Really good teams. Vice
And he's
principal.
the vice principal.
Yeah,
Probably soon to be a principal.
Who knows?
At a high school.
Or maybe sooner retire. I mean, who knows?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, but then we have Neil Murphy calling in, a buddy of yours from Sandwich. The AD is on the state football committee. We'll wrap up our football today. Football because of
So
some
Diesel,
of the things
we're going
going
to
on.
wrap up the high school football season today. Just Neil is going to really talk about some of the challenges. I think technically he's on like the South Committee that reschedules the non-playoff teams and all the challenges that are involved with that. So we'll sort of wrap up football and take a look at basketball, hockey,
Second half of
indoor
the
track
show.
this year.
What?
Basketball, hockey, and indoor track.
How about wrestling? Never mind.
Wrestling.
Vanessa. Never mind him.
I didn't mention Vanessa. I
You
mentioned
better
indoor
not
track.
mention
We have the
him.
Littleton indoor track coach going to be calling in soon. Not today, but in the near future.
Yeah.
Wonderful
boys and
hire.
girl.
Wonderful hires over there at
Oh,
Littleton.
tremendous hire.
Probably going to dominate the league from what I'm hearing.
What does he call them? Your boy?
Who?
Vanessa. Juggernaut.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we can't compete with them.
Yeah,
He goes off and off.
Well,
and
when
off.
you don't practice, it is tough to compete.
Hey, Smitty.
I mean, when Smitty kicks you out of the gym because
You're
there's a
in
game,
trouble.
there's a
When-
game at 7 at night, so you can't get in the gym at 2:30 because Smitty wants it cleared out. There may be some changes coming in Clinton. There could be some changes. So
we'll see. We'll see.
there's a guy named Gibber who might be back in the mix.
Yeah, I doubt it. Mix of what? I doubt it.
Well, I
doubt
didn't
it.
mention. I didn't get into the what. I said just in the mix.
My man. Hey, we have some good games coming up this week. Tomorrow night, too, in high school. And, you know, Bobby brought it up, Diesel. Maybe starting after the new year, we should start choosing some basketball winners.
Oh, sure. Now that you're coaching in Central Mass,
Oh, no.
Diesel's not paying attention, and neither am I.
Diesel wakes up every day.
You'll do anything to get
quarter
a crown. You'll do anything to become a champion.
I
of
haven't won
selections.
anything yet. Nothing.
Well, if Diesel wants to put something together
If he has time. Huh,
he's
Diesel?
working on his football stuff
Just
for next
passed
fall.
a master's class last
Yeah.
night
Yeah, let's talk about that.
after Neil calls in.
Well, Tony, do you have your master's? Seriously?
Yeah.
How many?
Easy.
One.
In what?
How many do I want?
In
You
what?
want me to have?
In what?
All right. Well,
Seriously?
Phys ed.
No, seriously?
Health.
Phys ed or health?
Health sciences.
and fitness. Health sciences. Good for you.
Fitness. Yeah, you got it right.
Wow.
Mark, he's got it right.
Hey, is that Neil? Are you on? Hey, thank you so much for calling in. We're in here. We're in studio with Tony the Hawk Gannon, longtime AD and coach at Clinton High School, and Diesel Dan on the board, who's a football aficionado, and he also calls a lot of games for local TV stations, high school football, college football.
And he has his own algorithm for.
That's right. Hey, if you need a guy, we talked recently about the challenges you have with non-playoff teams. Well, Diesel Dan has all kinds of algorithms. He can take care of any headaches you might
yes,
have.
he can.
All right, that sounds good. Hi, Tony. Hi, Dan.
How are you? How are you, Coach? Hey, thank you for calling in. And Bobby, I was excited when he said he had gotten you because you are on the football committee, and I was on the football scheduling committee in Central Mass until I retired in 2017, and I know the challenges that go on with football. The non-league challenges, the playoff challenges, the non-playoff games. It can be rough.
That's right. So I'm actually in the car. I'm headed down to pick up my son in New York City, but I just pulled over somewhere in Connecticut,
Thank you.
But you're right. So I'd have to look back. I mean, I must have been doing this I must have been on that non-playoff scheduling committee for 6 or 7 years, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been the AD. I'm in my 10th year at Sandwich Middle High School, and I've been the AD in charge of football for at least 9 years. And
Wow.
so I was the representative for the Atlantic Coast League and now the Cape and Islands League to get in that room, on Sunday morning as the regular season concludes, to figure out who hasn't qualified and who are they going to play. So you're familiar with that process.
Yeah.
It was we used to go to Danny Buron used to host it at Bridgewater Raynham. Now we've gone to Dedham High School the past few years. So it's a little bit of a journey, a couple of Sunday mornings in a row. But for me personally, it's been good. I've had an opportunity to meet some professionals, some ADs in this profession that I'm glad I had an opportunity to meet, and just to kind of see the process kind of from behind the curtain a little bit. But it's a challenge, and so the way that it starts with identifying, once the MIAA has kind of handed us the playoff teams, now we have a pool of teams in the South that need games. And so, there's, as I say, in the room, there's a rep from each league in the South, and, they want to advocate for the schools in their league and try to put the best matchups together, and we all want it. We all have the same goal, I think it really starts kind of geographically what makes sense. We start there. We look to see if it's schools that have already played one another or if they're scheduled to play one another on Thanksgiving, We look at it from an MIAA alignment perspective. We don't want a D2 playing a D5, and unless, not that it hasn't happened. Trust me, it has over the years here. But, we just try to be as fair as possible. But, inevitably, it's really hard to please everybody, So there's been some blowback over the years.
Yeah.
But once those decisions are made, those are final. And so that's kind of what our committee's been charged with. And, I would say for the most part it's worked, but it's not perfect. There's no perfect system. I think anybody who's involved in this understands that there really isn't a perfect system, but and inevitably it creates some matchups that just don't have much luster. I mean, I've been a part of those, and we'll send Sandwich somewhere, and and no one's really there because there's no history, there's no tradition, and so not a perfect system, but kind of that's how it works. That's what I've been a part of.
Neil, is there any travel limitations, like from the South Shore and the Cape and the Islands, when you are doing the non-playoff teams, or even the teams that make the playoffs when they get knocked out? I mean, do you try to keep them geographically within your district or region, however you clarify it or classify it? I mean, or is there still that opportunity? Because I know the thing that a lot of the schools like that have qualified and they've traveled to different areas of the state, they enjoy that. They're finding out they thought it would be a issue, but because geographically Massachusetts isn't really that big and we don't have 6 and 7 hour rides, schools are finally, buying into the fact, and like we've said on the shows, Central Mass has it easier than everybody else because we are in the middle and we can go 2.5 hours to our right, 2.5 hours to our left, 2 hours south, and we're there.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Oakmont Regional, just a
Went
little
to
north
Sandwich.
of here, went to Sandwich. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was a couple-hour ride, and they got pizza for the kids, and it was
Yeah.
a great game. I happened to stop by.
But when it comes to the non-playoff teams right off the bat after week 8 are not in, do you try to keep them geographically close to one another so that might keep them at least a little bit happy?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, geography is right at the top of the list in terms of the priority, right there with the competitiveness,
Yeah.
We definitely want to create a competitive matchup that, we don't want, in the sport of football, it's unique. There's a ton of contact, and you've got to be wary of, safety and injury. And so right up there, yeah, you're for sure, right up there with trying to create a competitive matchup is, hey, how far are these folks going to be expected to go for, a non-playoff, competition. So, yeah, that's a serious consideration, and that's really the first thing we talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, and you have Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket to consider too, whether they're on island or off island, and who's going to go over there.
No question. Always a challenge. It's funny. So like that, it seems like those were the last two schools to be scheduled. Knoxville certainly is way down the Cape, and they have a hard time. They've got to make a lot of trips and understand that they're just kind of. It is what it is. They're located where they are, but you're right. The Cape and Islands is a completely unique situation in that it requires boat travel and it requires the weather to cooperate too.
Yeah.
Those boats, if the boats are either not running or there's the threat of the boats not running, you're on the phone trying to find a new date and a new time. And I don't envy Mark at Martha's Vineyard or Travis Lombardi, the AD at Nantucket. I mean, those guys are just. It's hard enough right now on the heels of coming out of this pandemic to line up your transportation with buses. There's still a driver shortage, and so you have to be really creative in that regard. But then you throw boat travel into it. It can get really complicated really quickly. But you're right. Over the years, that feels like the last those are the last two schools we got to find matchups for, and you got to get on the phone. You've got to count on that, that league representative to have kind of established some good relationships with ADs and with coaches, and you get on the phone and say, hey, coach, or hey, would you guys be willing to go to Nantucket Saturday morning, or would you be willing to go to the Vineyard, knowing that, we'll get you a home game the following week.
Yeah.
And, more often than not, I think, everybody's on the same page and understands that these kids out there need games as well. And, I've had that mentality since I got to Sandwich, and, I hear complaints about travel to the islands, and it is. It's expensive. You're out of school early just to get over there. It's a long day for kids. They get home late. But, if we're not willing to play them, who is? I mean, those kids out there need games. And so I think if everybody kind of does their part, you could keep those kids moving and competing. But no, trust me, you're right. It's an added challenge that, and it winds up. It really feels like it winds up being the last two games schools we can find games for on those Sunday morning meetings.
Yeah, but to put this shoe on the other foot, and I don't know. I've been retired for a few years now, but for a team say doesn't get in the playoffs, they just miss and they're heartbroken. To say to them, hey, listen, even though when you make it to the playoffs, you guys, we're going to go to a different part of the state. We're going to show them what our program is like, limited to, say, an hour and a half, 2-hour drive or whatever, and make it an experience for them instead of, okay, we're going to go up and play, I'll make it up. We're going to go up and play Narragansett again, or we're going to go play Gardner again, or not again, but someone that is geographically 20 minutes away, half-hour away, probably play them in other sports. I mean, has any ADs or coaches, contact you and say, hey, listen, Neil, even though we didn't make the playoffs, if you're going to send us a couple hours away or something, we'll make it a good experience for our kids, even though we didn't get into playoff. Has anybody approached you with that way of alleviating some of the travel issues?
Yeah, definitely. I think once the dust settled on, as this, the new system was being unveiled and people were painting those worst case scenarios, Williamstown to Nauset or whatever, you know what I mean? Like once everybody kind of got beyond that, I think, you just kind of embrace it, and you're right. You kind of make it an experience, a unique experience. I mean, I know there have been schools that have, that have had the support of their boosters groups to put kids on a coach bus to make it more comfortable and found a way to feed them. And I think host schools have done a good job of serving as good hosts and feeding those visitors, knowing that they're on a bus for 2+ hours or whatever the case might be. So I think once everybody kind of got over all of those, like, hey, this is going to be brutal, and then I think you're right. If you can kind of shift that mindset and say, you know what, it's going to be a unique experience. Maybe the kids are going to have an opportunity to visit someplace they've never been and look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, hey, that was a pretty cool experience to make a trip all the way to the tip of the Cape, or to go out to the Berkshires, or no question about it. I've absolutely heard those stories, and I think I give credit to those ADs that recognize that as host schools, and they just say, hey, let's make sure this is comfortable for these kids once they do get here, in terms of access to locker rooms. And I know I try to be a good host when schools come to us, and I think for the most part, I mean, our ADs do a good job of it.
Yeah, well, when Clinton...
We had Clinton come down in tennis.
When Clinton tennis came down last spring.
The red carpet was laid out.
Yeah, the red carpet. I went to the matches, and the red carpet was out there for Clinton tennis on a Sunday. I have to give Sandwich a lot of credit as a resident. Did a great job.
Clinton upset
unfortunately, Clinton came down and upset Sandwich.
Coach Paul Z came down.
Coach Paul Z, he was on. He was on cloud nine all the way back to Clinton.
Is. He still is on.
Well, then
he's
Neil,
still rolling pennies in his office.
Then Neil, they thought Wareham was going to be a pushover, right? And then they got beat 5-0 by Wareham, so they came back to earth really quick. The people, the
they
Clinton
went
group.
from the penthouse to the outhouse within 3 or 4 days.
Hey, but now that this playoff system is into its second year and 2 full years of football. Do you see any changes? Hear any rumblings? What's your opinion on what may happen going forward?
Well, I mean, I feel like we need to just put these things in place and leave them in place a little bit. Like give it a little bit of time to kind of gather data and gather intel and anecdotally figure out if it makes sense. I mean, I know they they implemented when? So probably a year or so ago, the 3-win minimum.
Yeah,
which I
that was
think
good.
makes sense, you know. But I think we need a little bit more time. You know,
Okay.
I know people want to be creative and make suggestions about, you know. But in my opinion, personally, I just feel like, hey, let's leave it in place. Let's give it some time to see what it looks and feels like, and then, you know, make some adjustments. But you know, putting something new in place every 2 years, I mean, feels like, I don't know, feels unnecessary to me, and
Yeah.
feels like it's almost
Yeah.
unfair to the process itself. Like, let's give it some time
Agree.
to see how it works.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, Diesel, what do you have? You're a football aficionado.
Yeah, you can say that. It's like, I do agree with him in a sense that, yeah, I mean, with some systems, it does take a little bit of time to settle in. Maybe there are some things that you think of that, oh, we can definitely change that because that's definitely not working the way that we wanted it to. But for the most part, it is a fairly solid system, and it's one of the more simple systems, at least from a computer science perspective when it comes to implementation.
Okay, but there are changes for next year in terms of division alignments, correct, Diesel?
Yeah, so that's separate from the power ratings, but that's just something they do every 2 years nowadays.
Okay.
It used to be every 4 years, but they've changed it to every 2 years. And I think that's a little better too. I think the explanation I remember reading on why it should be every 2 years is that they were using enrollment for kids that by the time that they went and actually realigned, those kids weren't actually in the school anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
doing it every 2 years at least gives you
Right.
data that's a little closer to the
Reality.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Aren't some of the Voc Tech, yes, but aren't some of the Voc Tech schools getting bumped up? Diesel, is that right? Or?
Well, we saw Monty Tech was in 2.
Yep, so it's not necessarily a case of they're getting bumped up, it's they got rid of the automatic drop for tech schools.
Okay.
And
Which I agree with.
that being said, I've looked at some of the first draft with the appeals and all that, and pretty much every trade school appealed in pretty much every sport. In most of those sports, they did actually get the drop down that they probably would have gotten anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek Robbins, another one. Derek Robbins from Worcester Tech retired or stepped down the
he
other
did?
day. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, we were
a lot
talking
of
here
football
before you
coaches
get
stepping
on.
down.
The year we had Dan McInespy up here from Hudson, John Andriolo at St. John's, and Derek Robbins at Worcester Tech have all stepped down from their head coaching positions. Dan was 25 years at Hudson. John was 19 at St. John's, and Derek was about 5 or 6 at Worcester Tech. He did a great job over there turning that program around at Worcester Tech. But you know what Danny was saying was with the Voc schools. I mean, I agree in a sense. They should be higher, I think, than they are.
Why?
Because they've got the number of boys, and
But
you.
they also have challenges of drawing from several towns, transportation issues, and some
Right.
of them have to work every other week in their
Right.
trade.
I
So
understand that, but they do have late buses. I've checked.
I don't think you understand. You say you understand it, but you want them to be bumped up.
A division or 2. I mean, I don't think Monty Tech should be in Division
I mean,
2.
I'll ask
don't.
Neil. If you look
Yeah,
at the
Neil.
Voc Tech schools on the Cape, I mean, tell me
many-
about them and where they should be at.
Yeah, nothing jumps off the page in terms of like, wow, that school belongs, you know, here. I think they're where they're supposed to be. Yeah, they have some unique challenges, you know, but as long as that appeal process stays in place, you know, even if from an alignment perspective, you know, they're placed in a higher division than where they belong, as long as they can appeal it, you know, make their case for where they think they belong. But in terms of the folks that I'm familiar with in our region, no, I think they're kind of all where they belong, to be honest with you.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to advocate for Diesel's alma mater, Monty Tech, so that they don't
There's
get
no way Monty
overscheduled.
Tech should be in Division 2. I mean, and I'm sure Dave Reed is going to appeal that, or if he hasn't already appealed it. But I don't think they should be in 8 or 7.
Okay.
If they're in, no, that's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
You know, if they're
No,
if
they
they've
shouldn't
got-
be that low.
Right.
Because they
And the
probably
same
have
with
an
the
enrollment of
co-op.
1,200.
Same with the co-op schools.
Well, the co-ops, yeah,
you
that's a
know,
little different.
Combine the number of boys or girls
Yeah.
in both schools.
Yeah, that
and
West Boylston thing is really inaccurate. It's not really fair.
And I didn't realize Tohoto has the more kids than West Boylston. But congratulations
It should be
to West
combined
Boylston
enrollment.
for winning the state title.
Yeah.
And they deserve it. They've got a great coaching staff, great team. I mean,
And a great advantage with combined enrollment.
yeah, I actually had them once this year at Northbridge, and they.
Tony's a
they-
ref, by the way, Neil. He's a
Now
white.
that-
He's a white hat.
Now that I'm retired, I do that.
Now
so-
I don't know if he'd do the same job that Scott Ashworth did at your playoff game, but Tony is a white hat.
Just let hey Neil, like we do here, just let Bobby ramble, okay? We just let him ramble over there.
Listen, based on Tony's ratings this year, he's looking for games. Can you get him some JV games down at Sandwich next year?
Hey,
Can we plug him in?
Neil, I'm telling you right now, and I've said this when we had the AD from Nantucket on.
Travis,
Travis,
your guy,
yep. I would love to go to the Cape with the guys on my crew.
Hey,
and
he
do a
said
game.
he'd go to Nantucket for free, and they still didn't call him.
Hey, we're going to a quick break. We'll be right back. Poor guy's pulled over somewhere in fucking Connecticut. Hopefully he doesn't get hit by a tractor trailer. Talking on
He's going to get hit on the side of the road, poor guy.
It's like,
Yeah,
Scott
well,
Ashworth, the Bill Goslin of the Cape.
Scott Ashworth, you know of him?
Why do you know
You
Bill
just
Goslin?
He's the AD at Bourne.
No, you just dropped his name.
Scott Ashworth, yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying, yeah, and he reffed the Oakmont
Sandwich game, yeah. He was
so
the
what
white
I was
hat.
saying was, is he the Bill Goslin of the Cape?
I don't
Oh,
know. I
Jesus.
don't really know football. Who the
Thank
football
you.
refs are.
Yes.
Bobby, grab those. Hey,
Well, how do we get Devers signed?
they
Oh,
better
boy.
sign Devers.
Yeah.
What should the number be? I know
Unlimited, whatever he wants. After you had 3 guys under 26-year-olds who are going to be in the Hall of Fame. We had 3 of them, and we let 2 go.
Why don't you just give him Correa money for one less year? $350 for 12,
I know.
right?
He'd take it.
You would. I would.
And I don't think he's asking that much.
Right. You say,
Oh.
hey, we'll give you the same money as Correa, just one less year. So
Hey, what was the thing I just read on Kurt Simmons? He just died. He was a pitcher with the Cardinals and the Phillies up until the early 70s, but he started, maybe the late 60s. He started in the late 40s, 50s. He pitched, he had players on his team that faced Babe Ruth, and a pitcher on his roster his last year that faced Harold Baines. How about that?
What a span, yeah.
What a span. Just died. He was 93, Kurt Simmons. I remember him. He was a lefty pitcher.
how
St.
come
Louis
you
Cardinals.
didn't get back to me on that Twins text I sent you?
You get a good catcher.
Yeah.
How about this? That was so kept secret. People in Boston were still saying we have a shot to get him back, and he's already signed with the Twins.
That shows how people don't pay attention to things that never.
Hey, oh yeah, I know.
Hey, Tony, let's wrap it up with him. He's trying to get to New York City.
Oh yeah.
Neil, I mean, the poor guy, he's on the side of the road.
Side of the road.
He's
is
going to see
emergency
Rai
lights
Rai,
on.
his son, down in New York City. So, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
wrap
just
it.
thank
Maybe should have let him go.
Oh, to break him up so fast.
All right.
You're yakka yelling at me about Monty Tech. The Tool Belt Conference. He's all over me,
I
man.
gotta-
About the freaking
Then I put
Tool
Neil on the
Belt
spot about Upper Cape Tech.
Oh,
he could care
yeah,
less.
he was ready to turn around and drive
Yeah.
to Fitchburg.
Yeah, tell him that.
So we'll try to get the second. We'll try to give him another 10 minutes, and then try to get the other break.
Well,
in
no,
at
we're going to
6.
give him a minute or two and let him go, Tony, okay?
Oh, hey, just say, Bobby, just say, Neil, listen, I apologize for rambling on about the Tool Belt Conference. You got to get going. Are we on? And welcome back to the Thursday afternoon high school lunchbox here in Fitchburg at the K-Zone at 105.3 FM and AM 1280. Coach Catalini, Diesel Dan, Neil Murphy's on the side of probably 395 having tractor trailers whiz by him on hold. But Neil, our plan was to let you go before, right at the break, but Bobby was rambling on
Yeah,
about the
my
Tool Belt
apologies.
Conference. And I said to him at the break, we got to let Neil go. He's on his way to New York.
Yeah, you're going down to see Rai Rai or pick up Rai Rai?
Yep, going to pick up Ryan. Yeah, Ryan just finished the first semester at Pace University, so I'm headed down to pick him up. I was in Boston last night for my wife's holiday party, so I figured I'd just make the trip down, grab him. and we're going to make our way back tonight. He can do some of the driving. Though. That's the
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
good for him. Yeah, tell him that we said hello. And
Listen, you be safe driving. We know you're going to be driving into a little bit of the storm. A buddy of mine is going to Connecticut this afternoon. Gary Maniac, the basketball coach
Oh, he
of the
is?
show, but
Okay.
that's where I'm going to take his practice if he's not back.
Okay.
But be careful driving, Neil, and thanks so much for calling in. And Merry Christmas to you and your family, and Happy New Year.
Of course. Thank you, guys. Nice
Yeah,
talking.
Neil.
Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for
thank
calling
you so
and taking
much.
the time.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
be safe.
Okay, Bobcat. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey, Diesel, did you catch his nickname on the Cape?
No, I didn't.
Bobcat.
That started at Old
When?
Rochester.
What? Does
Yeah, there
Vanessa
was a-
know?
There was a kid at Old Rochester that started Bobcat, so it kind of stuck down in the area.
We haven't heard it up here in the North
No,
County.
it's a separate situation. You know, there's Central
Bobcat.
Mass, there's Cape and Islands.
Mark, what do you think of that? Bobcat, huh?
Beautiful.
Look at the hawk.
Oh man, oh man.
Well, that's like Bolak of the North. He's got several nicknames.
You're
And-
done with him.
And a lot
Kevin
of them
from
aren't
heaven.
repeatable.
I'll tell you, Kevin from Heaven wasn't too. What's the word I want to use?
Enamored.
He wasn't really. He didn't have that bounce in his step today when you mentioned Bolak of the North. like
Yeah,
normally.
well, Kevin, I guess, you know.
I know
I don't know
he's-
what to say. I mean, Kevin, I asked Kevin from Heaven to come in studio and sit in with us, and
Now, what's that
You
trick
can't
you're
be
trying to
bothered.
plan behind everyone's back?
Look, but what do you mean behind everyone's back?
Diesel,
Why,
they're
because
play-
you're not
they're-
invited?
They're whispering about
You would
going.
no. You would go to Florida in January.
I can't, I'm
You're tied
coaching.
up. That's why. So why would I bring it up to you?
Why? The same
That's a
reason
great
I'm
shirt.
wearing your
What do you
shirt.
think of that shirt he has on, Diesel?
Bob Catalini basketball.
Yeah,
It's a nice sharp shirt.
yeah.
We may have
His
to get
new
one for
one-
Diesel.
What do you mean he hasn't got one yet?
Not yet.
I mean,
Why?
Christmas is right
this
around
is
the
my
corner.
third one. Why hasn't he got
Third
one?
one, yeah. The first
Mark,
two.
do you have a shirt?
The first two.
Might get a double X from Mark.
The first two were sold on eBay. I mean, I go on eBay and I see the shirt and it with the Clinton address. Come on.
Hey, I do like the Padre style. You've
Yeah,
got
the
now,
brown. We may get you into a brown shirt. Now, is
Ian,
that
how
kid?
did Ian
Is
get
that
one?
kid at? I gave one to Ian.
Yeah,
You could
oh,
wear Ian's.
No thanks. Go
That
ahead.
kid at Neshoba wearing that around school.
That hasn't taken it off yet. They've sent him to the nurse 6
He's
times.
sleeping.
he hasn't taken it
Oh.
off. Okay. Who'd you give it to? Cement?
No, the kid who hit the half-court shot.
Oh yeah.
The kid who hits threes.
Yeah.
Although Neshoba was 3 for 27
Yeah,
from
we
the
were
threes.
Actually, 3 for 27 the
Wow.
other night. But I'll tell you, we banged it inside second half. Got it done.
Yeah. No, that's
Got
good.
it done.
Hey, you know what I've really been kind of interested in is this St. Bernard's documentary. I've seen the trailer a couple of times. This in it, I
How
didn't
about the-
realize it's an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and it's available on Apple TV. Diesel, have you seen it?
I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
When would he have time? Diesel, tell him. Just speak out. When would he have time with the FATV, this, everything else he does?
Getting his master's degree.
Getting his master's degree to finish the class last
Yeah.
night. When would Diesel
It's
have
90
time?
minutes.
Well, that's a long time.
I'd say from 2 to 3:30 a.m.
Well, that's when he's just getting. That's when he's just waking
He's still up.
He's
still up.
studying at that time, by candlelight or kerosene. What?
It's like I may have started the final exam just past midnight. last
See
night.
that?
There you go. What was it, online or?
Yeah, it's all online course. It's all online courses that I do.
Wow.
But
I,
no,
I
get-
don't think that's for you, Tony, online. You'd have 4 or 5 people sitting
At
with you
the
to
end of
take
my
that.
career, I had to take a few classes online. I didn't mind them.
Really?
I didn't mind. Well, all the stuff now, the NFH test, NFHS
yeah.
stuff is all online. You know.
Yeah, that's.
But getting back to that documentary, we're hoping next week we could have some representative from St. Bernard's.
Hopefully.
Whether it's the Coach Connie,
Ray.
or I mean, I'm sure Linda Anderson is a long shot, but love to get somebody. I know Howie's had Tommy Bingham on his show on Sundays this
It
fall, probably
is-
about 13 times. But it'd be nice to get another perspective.
Yeah. We talked about it in the pregame about how kudos to St. Bernard's because they found a way to stay open. Now they're apart from the diocese and they stay open as a Christian institution or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
whatever
they
it
found
is,
a
it
way to
works.
stay open, whereas so many of these small Catholic high schools, or actually even larger Catholic high schools,
So
have
you-
closed.
You brought it up, St. Anthony's, the basketball dynasty in New York.
In New Jersey,
New
you
Jersey, I
know,
mean.
someone saw the St. Bernard's documentary and tweeted out, "We need to do this at St. Anthony's of New Jersey," who's been closed for a while.
Yeah.
Bob, the great
Hurley.
Bobby Hurley Sr., the coach
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
They found a way to stay open, and God bless St. Bernard's finding a way. And I think their enrollment, this is going to really springboard their enrollment. I predict next year their enrollment will be about 225. I think it's just going to
Plus.
go up and
I
up.
think plus 225 plus. But also, we read today that a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves watched the trailer and put out some really positive.
Yeah.
Put
It's
some
a great
positive
story.
feedback out.
It's a great story.
The trailer is unbelievable.
So you can get the show, the documentary, on Apple TV or through Apple Podcast or whatever. I'm not sure, but it's all over Twitter or I'm sure Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I'm sure you can find out. I'm really interested to see it. I really am.
Yeah, you are.
I might step up my donations, actually.
Yeah, we can't go down. They can't get any lower. Between you and Kevin, well, I don't know. Kevin from Heaven got that change
Kevin
back
Heaven
today.
was-
You might have thought it was the Brinks robbery when he walked out of
He was
Family
spending money
Cafe.
this morning. He was, what a tip he left.
He
oh,
walked
my
in
goodness.
with this smile on his face
Yep.
today like he just robbed a bank.
Yeah, and got away with it.
Oh, he would too. you know he would have in his day. Diesel, what are you looking up over there?
Yeah, I was just trying to look up information on the documentary and a couple other things, and maybe seeing what my Twins are doing now that they lost the Carlos Correa Bowl.
Who got him?
The Giants, 13 years, $350 million.
The Giants. You know what kind of the weather? The weather gets you to go
Well,
out.
that's true. That's a
west.
factor. That's a factor.
That's a big factor.
Hey.
Hey, you know what's another underlying factor with the Alexander Bogart's not, and I've read this numerous times, and I've talked to people. Actually, I talked to an agent, and
Sean Stellato?
taxes
Oh, taxes is a big factor. That's
in
why.
Massachusetts.
That's
Did
why.
you know that?
Oh, yeah.
You're nodding your, yeah?
Florida and Texas, no state tax. So right away, that's 5 or 6% to the good that you are. California
Now,
taxes
not
are the worst.
saying that was a reason why
California's
we've
the
lost
worst.
Bogarts and Bats.
But can you
somebody
imagine
said
making?
it was something that was brought up in both.
Can you imagine making $20 million a year? You're lucky to probably net 10.
Right.
You're going to pay about $10 million in taxes. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, that's another reason to keep Bogarts. Imagine that on a $250 million
I
salary,
know.
the money that would go to the state, that would help us alleviate what we have to pay.
You're preaching in a choir, Catalini, okay, over there?
You know, you're trying to get a discount on the senior breakfast at the family
Listen,
cafe or whatever it is.
no one's listening to you now. You're talking. People are getting
Kevin
up,
from
going to the
Heaven's
bathroom
asleep.
somewhere. Hey, big win by Murdoch the other night. Beat Turner's Falls. First time in years. 56-55. I'm sure you didn't
Really?
even notice it. Yep. St. Bernard's lost their opener to Hudson. Hudson's supposed to be a pretty good team, though. They lost their
Coach
opener.
Connie was actually pretty pleased. He thought his team
Yeah,
played
he
well,
was.
and they'll improve over the year.
Yeah.
Patch, what kind of a game
Gardner-
did Patch have?
He said Patch played well.
Okay,
Patch played well. But he said his football players, couple of kids...
takes time.
It takes another week,
Yep.
another week.
Well, they're watching the documentary.
Gardner starts off 2-0 this year with a nice 55-39 win over Dex. Dex 2-0. Twabba, we're going to
I
have
mean,
to have
0
him
2.
on.
0 2.
Yeah, 0-2, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dex, well, he lost his best player. The best player transferred
And
to
Proudy's unbeaten.
Proudy.
2-0.
So what was the score of that Gardner?
55-39.
Okay, yeah, I think Quavin's going to have a tough time scoring.
Fitchburg, nice
Great
opener.
kids, though.
Nice opener for the Red Raiders. They beat South 59-53.
That's a good win.
That
Where
was
was
two-
that?
That was at Fitchburg.
Okay.
Two big teams, and then North beat Wachusett the other night. The
North's
score
gonna be
isn't
tough.
indicative. I think it was like 60-42, 60-43.
North is going to be tough. They've
good.
got some players.
North is going to be good, and then North Middlesex, nice opener win over Littleton, 51-45. So there's been-
GD open up yet?
no, they're opening up Friday night with. Oh God, I
You?
no. We go to Shepherd Hill.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow's Friday night. Okay.
I just saw who they played. Oh God, because I know Westboro is at Marlboro.
Westford, somebody
Maynard's at
like that.
Quabbin.
Air, Westford.
GD is Oakmont, at Oakmont. They're
Oh.
both 1-0. So GD
Who did
did.
GD beat?
I'm going to look it up right now before Diesel does because I am on home team. They beat Lunenburg 59-37.
Wow.
But I
Lunenburg
did-
must be down.
Well, Coach Manguso, Steve was telling me that someone wasn't in the lineup for Lunenburg and you're wondering
But
why.
that's a lot of 22-point differential with one kid.
Hey,
That's tough to
G-Man's
make
got it
up.
going.
Hey, are you through with the high school basketball?
If you want me to be, I am. Go ahead.
How about Charlie Baker, our governor, being named the president of the NCAA?
Now go back. How did you find out?
Oh, through my
before
guy,
everybody else.
Senior
Mark,
advisor.
Before it was even
My
on
neighbor is
Twitter
Charlie
or-
Baker's senior advisor, John Cook, who, and Tony's very familiar with the John Cook farm.
Oh, the farm I am, not John Cook. I met him once.
Yeah, Tony is allowed on the farm because he's allowed to bring debris into the burn pile. That's about it.
From the Sandwich Downs. Not
Yeah.
anywhere but Sandwich Downs
Yep.
brush.
Yep.
Right?
Right. Very
John
strict.
Cook, he is a nice
But-
guy.
But Charlie Baker, I mean, it's amazing to go from governor to head of the NCAA. I mean, the guy doesn't want to take a break, take a year off or whatever. I mean, they go
Hey.
from one, but I think he'll do a great job.
Well, he did a great job with the state.
Yeah, he
He's done a
did.
great job with a lot of things.
I mean,
and
we got refunds.
He was an athlete.
Did you
He
get
was an
your-
athlete.
Where did he play?
Harvard.
In what sport?
Men's basketball.
All right, that was a quiz. Don't get upset with me. Diesel, did you know that?
No, not off the top of my head.
Well, Diesel, we're finding out a lot about Diesel. He is nocturnal. No, opposite. No, nocturnal. He's up at night, sleeps during the day. So he misses a
That's
lot
like
of the
most
breaking
young
news.
people.
It sleeps during
They're
the
up
morning
late.
more than anything.
Oh,
I mean, Hawk, you turn in, what, 8:30?
if I go to bed at all. Oh, God. Anyways,
All right, time for another break, according to Diesel.
what?
Yeah, let's use our other break.
All right, let's take it. Goodbye. Quick break.
Oh, hey, lot to talk about.
Yeah. Got a couple hockey results.
Oh, you're on.
All right.
What's that?
Hockey.
Hockey?
He's got some results.
Oh,
Hey,
all
does
right.
Chad play Bolak hockey like his brother did?
Chad who? You mean Luke?
Luke, I meant.
No,
yeah.
he doesn't play hockey. He had played a little hoop, but I don't think he's playing hoop this year.
No, I don't think so.
Did you do the Fitchburg game, Fitchburg South?
No, I didn't. I'm going to be doing Fitchburg Oakmont on Saturday.
Ooh, that'd be a good game.
Boys?
Yeah, the ice hockey. Fitchburg Monty Tech.
Oh,
against
ice
Oakmont.
Hockey?
Ice hockey.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yep, I got the roster from Joe Chalowny this morning. So.
Hey, the first time I heard of Diesel Dan was when it was in COVID. We were following
Luke.
Max Bolak.
Max. Yeah.
Hockey.
fourth cousin.
Myself and my friends, one from Florida, one from here, one from there. And we're watching FATV and we're all saying, this announcer is great. No, seriously, we were like, this FATV, because he was doing,
Yeah,
were you doing it by yourself or with someone else?
I did all of the COVID games by myself.
Yeah, it was, we're watching it and we're like, this is great. We're watching Max Bolak, Fitchburg, the good games,
Remember.
a lot of one-goal games. Max was scoring goals and he was doing a great job. We were like,
And you
this
weren't
guy,
with
Dan
the radio
Bolak's
station
great.
yet.
Uh,
No.
Not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
was
you
technically
weren't-
still on the payroll, but I wasn't working the board here.
Yeah, you weren't on the lunch.
But that was, and everybody was watching with COVID. They were watching at home. And FATV goes everywhere.
Well, that's what
My
happened.
friend in Florida
For
was
that
all
season-
over
For
it.
that season, we did every game, and even there's the one game against North Middlesex, we didn't have live commentary because
Right.
it was at Fitchburg Leominster basketball.
But you know what? You had replay. Who was doing the replay? Someone back in the
And then
studio?
in post, I went and recorded commentary for the whole game and did that in post.
Yeah, but you did stuff live.
Yeah, every other game I did live.
But you had live replays.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it was really good.
yeah, with the truck and all that. Yeah.
I remember you talking about it, Catalini.
Yep. No, it was good. That's my first run-in with Diesel.
And welcome back to the Thursday afternoon lunchbox with Coach Gannon, Coach Catalini, and Diesel Dan. Final thoughts. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes left. We had a great interview with Neil Murphy driving to New York. pulled over on 395 to talk and
Yeah.
call into the lunchbox. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, we really
And we
appreciate
talked
it.
a little bit about the basketball seasons, blah blah blah, and Diesel wants to get a little hockey in
Yeah,
before
definitely.
we sign off for the day.
And cover the bases there. So talk about some of the games that took place last night. So Fitchburg Monty Tech coming away with a 5-2 victory over Gardner.
Oh,
Gardner's got a small roster this year. They got about 17 kids across, themselves. They've got Gansett, Murdoch, and Quabbin as part of the co-op there.
Okay.
They've got one of the best goalies in Central Mass and Mark Quinn, though.
hey, do they still play in the outdoor rink in Winchendon?
No.
What do you mean no?
Clark Memorial's indoor.
So, yeah, that they don't. I mean, in Winchendon, the rink that
Is
gets
it
used the one
still-
for Winchendon School, the Richie Ice Arena.
Is it still there? The outdoor rink?
I
Diesel?
doubt it. It's like if the rink that was there before Richie was converted into a indoor soccer facility.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Probably not. No.
There used to be an outdoor rink, and that's where Murdoch played their hockey
You're
game.
confused.
No, I'm not. Danny and Dave Nataro,
No,
they were
played
talking
it.
about it
They
the
played
other
at
day.
the Clark Memorial.
Was it outdoors?
I think it's it was enclosed.
It was enclosed
We used
the
to
one time I
send
ever
we
went
used to
there.
send Groton Dunstable up there. They played at the Clark Memorial. So maybe back in the day, Murdoch did have an outdoor rink. I don't know. That wasn't unusual. Fitchburg Diesel. Did you know that Fitchburg High had an outdoor rink?
Up until when?
Oh, I'm not
Last
sure.
night.
No, at the rink was at Crocker Field. That's where they practiced. There was an outdoor rink at Crocker Field over to the side, and that's where the team practiced. Jack Conway was the coach.
Was he really?
Yep.
That'd be so
Hey,
long
Diesel,
ago.
find
Yeah,
out about
it was
the
a long
rink.
time ago,
I'm
Diesel.
telling you.
But
did.
Applewild has an outdoor rink. We used to sneak on it at night.
Of course, you and Kevin from Heaven.
No, me
you
and B of N,
strap some butter.
Bolak of the
You
North.
strap some butter knives on the bottom of your sneakers, huh? Hey, find out about the rink that I'm
Oh, boy.
talking about. Diesel,
You find
can-
out about it. Why should Diesel? He's busy. He's working on a
tonight
master's
about
degree.
3 in the morning when he comes. Think about it. Look it up. I think it was called Clark.
Well,
Maybe it was outdoors and then they converted it. That wouldn't be unusual.
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
All right.
yeah,
Anyways,
Littleton Bromfield, they're 2-0 to start. They beat Lunenburg Air Shirley 3-0 last night. Good shout out there for Charles Becker. St. Bernard's getting a victory over Oakmont 5-4.
Wow.
That was a good result.
Where was that at?
That was at Oakmont. That was at Cushing.
At Cushing.
Yep, and considering I covered St. Bernard's Oakmont at Civic Center last year, where Oakmont put double digits on the.
Wow.
On the
See, a
Bernardians.
turnaround for St. Bernard's. Everything is turning around.
donate some more money.
Yep, the numbers are starting to grow.
I'll double it from 5 to 10 now.
Double digits. Go ahead, Diesel.
Shrewsbury, we call them a Central Mass team, but in ice hockey they go and play in the Merrimack Valley Dual County League. So
Who, Shrewsbury?
yeah, so they're
Seriously?
yeah, they play an Eastern Mass schedule now
Wow.
for ice hockey.
Why? Because they're that good or they've upgraded?
Yeah, they've been because they are that good actually.
Oh, really?
Hey, how about
Didn't know
Algonquin
that.
girls? I wasn't able to look them up.
If I'll
Oh,
try to
right.
get there or whatever. But yeah, Shrewsbury they beat Billerica 4-1 last night.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now,
but-
Billerica has a rink on their campus.
They
Did
do.
They have it right at the high school.
Yep, I'd call it the second closest trip that you ever have to make to get to a rink in this state. I think the closer one would be Methuen, whose rink is in the building.
Wow. They do things right in the Merrimack Valley.
I find that amazing that a high school actually has an ice hockey rink inside their physical building, but Methuen does.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, Timmy O'Brien from down in Florida, Fort Myers.
Okay, this is good. This
texted
should
me.
be good.
It was the Clark rink in Winchendon,
Okay.
and it was.
It was outdoors.
Thanks, Obi.
And then they converted it.
See that? Even Obi, even thousands of miles away, bails us out.
Interesting.
Bails us out. Of
He
course,
must-
he's probably on the 5th hole at some golf course right now. We're freezing.
Listening on, yeah, good for him. No,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Well, I think that happened with a lot of rinks. They were outdoors and then get converted.
Yeah, so let's see a couple other results that catch my eye here. Wachusett 5-3 winners over Westboro. Wachusett, it's one of those younger teams that also looking for goaltending because you lose your goalies to graduation and then you're trying to figure out who are we going to put in net. So that's always one of those challenges. Hopedale, same deal. They lost both their goalies to graduation. They had their season opener last night over Auburn. We beat them 4-2.
Wow.
Yep, St. Paul bounced back with a victory over Hudson after they lost their opener by a good, healthy margin. They lost 5-1 to Blackstone Valley. Oh, that's a new thing too, by the way. The Grafton Valley Tech Co-op broke up, and so now they're two separate teams. And both Grafton and Blackstone Valley Tech are 2-0 to start the season too.
Imagine what they would have been like.
Together, yeah.
Well,
That's-
if your school can support a team, you're supposed to have your own team.
Yeah.
This is why that West Boylston thing is to me, is a little dicey.
Yeah.
You just have to look at the participation numbers. I mean, they have 40-something, they have a little over 40 kids on their roster. And the thing is, if each team's giving 20 kids, then you do have the right for that co-op there. But it's just a matter of how is it exactly divvied out. But yeah, St. Paul beat Hudson 8-1. It's ever since Mike Nenarowicz retired, it's been tough going in Hudson.
Yeah.
Yep. In fact,
He was a great coach. He
they
took
have-
over for Billy Bissett. Remember?
Yeah, Billy. Yeah,
Long time ago, Hudson AD.
prior to Louis taking over.
Oh, Louis.
Louis.
I think Ron Dunstable got a high octane offense. They lost their opener 7-6. They beat Leominster 9-3. So that's 16 goals from 2 games.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, as I mentioned, Blackstone Valley Tech, they're 2-0, 7-2 win over Northbridge last night. And another thought too is, Leominster is in girls hockey, Leominster is hosting pretty much all of the North County teams. There were two girls hockey teams in the North County. There was the Leominster team and the Oakmont team, but I guess Oakmont had numbers issues, that co-op. So now they're playing with the Leominster co-op. So Leominster's hosting like 12 different schools this year.
So
Holy
this is,
shit.
this,
hockey,
there is a team
Leominster.
where the host team is Leominster, and then all these other schools feed into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because girls hockey, we're still looking for more numbers there, if you
Sure.
will. And they lost to Franklin 4-0.
Hey, so anything on it? Did Algonquin girls play? Did we find out? Or-
So I don't think they played last night.
All right, we'll figure it out for next week. Hey, great show today, Bobby. Great breakfast. You're coming to practice today.
Yeah, we're going to swing into your JV practice, have a little fun with the
2:30,
kids.
Yeah,
Yep.
2:30 to
Yep.
4, and then go down to
Yep.
down 495, lose some money at the track, and then
Plain Ridge, make a
sulk all-
donation.
Sulk all the way over the
no,
bridge.
basically what I'm trying to do is double my donation to St. B's. I'm going to try to double it for the betterment of
Don't
the
believe
Bernardians.
him, Mark.
And if you
Don't
want-
believe him. Go
If you
ahead.
want that Algonquin result, they opened against Franklin, tied 4-4.
Ooh,
Wow, that's good.
That's Franklin's tough.
Yeah.
Tough in hockey. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a safe weekend. Might get a little bit of snow and
Yeah,
slush
be
tomorrow.
safe. Be safe.